So, Donya, how would you help parents to prepare children for the 11 plus exams?
Okay, yeah, so that's a good question, Ida. The thing with the 11 plus exams, right? If parents out there who are watching this are not sure what it is, it's a selective exams for children who are age around 11, 10, 11, to go to grammar schools, yeah? The kind of information that you will get out there from the exam boards, from your council, is not to prepare your children for the exam.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know, I guess you might be like, well, that's really weird. They're going to do exams and then not prepare them.
Exactly.
For it. The reason for that is because the 11 plus exams are supposed to be for children who are just bright. They should turn up to the exams and be able to pass the exams, right? So they're very much about, you're advised not to prepare them, not to get them tutors and things like that, so that they so that they, like I said, they just go in and do it intrinsically. The issue though is that because it's so competitive, because those schools are considered to be better, a lot of times their results will be 90% above, 100% pass in GCSEs, and sometimes because some of the local schools that the council will send you to, which is your closest, is not the very best schools, parents do go all out.
Wow.
Yeah. So that means they get their children tutored. So it's difficult if you haven't got your child tutored for your child to compete against children who have been tutored. So certainly one thing I would say that you would that parents should consider when helping their children to prepare for the 11 plus is getting a tutor to ensure that they understand the topics. But I think the other thing that parents can do is also understand the topics that their children should know. Because even though I mentioned a tutor, I think the problem with the 11 plus cider is that a lot of parents think it's the be all and end all. Yeah? And so they just prepare their children to take an exam. And it's difficult where a child has been going through reception year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, not doing any exams, and then year 5, and then all of a sudden, it's January, now there's pressure on them to pass an exam in September. But they've not been brought in, they don't understand. So I think it's key for your child to understand what the 11 plus is about, how they're going to benefit, understand why it's actually good to do it. So they definitely have to have buy-in. Yeah, I think it's not just buy-in from the children. It's good to have buy-in from the father as well, or the other families. Because if say for example it's the mother that's trying to get the child to pass this exam, and everybody else in the house is saying what's the point, or the rest of the family don't understand as well, the impact that can have is the child gets mixed messages. Yeah,
that's not encouraging.
Yeah, and that is something then you'll find have even more struggle trying to get the child to do something that a lot of their friends in schools in their classes won't be doing. So it'll feel like a bit of a punishment. Yeah, I think the fundamental thing that parents need to do as a whole, like I said, it's not just the 11 plus as just this exam to be passed to go to another school. I think if they just do that, the child will only think that exams or studying hard is just to get to the next level. I think what's good is from they're young, from even reception, is just teach them to love learning.
Yes.
Yeah, love learning. Do a little every day, 20 minutes every day. If you think from reception, they've just been 20 minutes at home every single day. By the time they get to year 5, they'll be yeah. It's they're either the top of the class, or they've just been used to sit down for half an hour, do some additional work. And I think that's what parents need to do, is start early, do this additional work. I mean, on a practical level as well, what they could do is get Bond's book. I mean, the Bond's book starts from 5 to 6, and like I said, if you're thinking bigger and not just about preparing for the 11 plus, the exam coming up now, then that it's useful to use those books, the Bond's book. And if your child is in year 4 or 5 or 3 and 4, that's a book you must use, because the Bonds is for GL. Yeah, there are also exams, CGP. So Kent is GL exam. So this is exam board. There's also CGP, which is CEM rather. CEM is like Bexley Boroughs. Some place in Birmingham use it. It's a more difficult exam, and that exam is actually going to help focus on a lot of grammar, lots of verbal reasoning, and that exam is actually going to credit and reward those who actually love reading. So it's good to get your children to start reading, building their vocabulary. They should be reading every single day anyway, yeah? So those are just some tips. I think there are lots of, we will do some additional videos on it because it's a long topic, yeah? But I think at the most basic is understand the exams that your children are going to do, which exam boards where, yeah? Get them to buy into it, get them to visit the schools. I think it's important for them to visit the schools and see the schools that they want to go to ensure that that's really where they want to go. And then make it easier for you to sell them the vision. Yep, so have a big vision of what you're actually doing and why. And they need to understand the benefits as well. And your family and everybody needs to understand the benefit. I think getting a tutor is particularly good if your child's not going to an independent school, or if your child's going to a school that doesn't even support grammar exams, because there are lots of schools that don't support the grammar exams. Yeah. So if they don't, then they won't be getting the information they need. So for example, you might be like, okay, the child is bright enough, so they will go and they'll pass the maths and they'll pass the English, but they may never have done verbal reasoning. Or have never done non-verbal reasoning. You can't send a child in when they haven't had that experience, or if they've never taken an exam, they don't understand the technique. So this is why they will need to get some additional support. But above all, I think start early, as in start letting them love learning early, start developing their vocabulary. Like you say, when you take them to the museums, take them to the park, have a conversation with them and communicate. I think those are the key things. But we will give some other tips. Thank you so much for watching. Did that answer your question?
Oh yes, you did, and much more. Thank you so much, Miss Tanya.
Thanks a lot.